Hi guys, a number of questions. Why are outlets like the BBC inviting on ex-Tory MPs for their opinions on stuff? Simon Clarke here still dressed in a suit even though he lost his seat at the last election. Maybe he's going to spill the beans and embarrass Rishi Sunak and the Tories. No, he's brought on to defend them even though he represents nobody but himself. There was a silver lining though in the shape of Oli Dugmore from Politics Joe, who flipped the script that Simon was trying to sell and turned it back on the Tories, who had a wonderful opportunity to end austerity and invest in public services. But Simon was trying to muddy the waters here instead. Have a listen.
The biggest single thing is what would have happened if Boris had been given longer to deliver his form of economic, which, you know, in truth would have been quite Heseltine-esque.
I think the frustrating thing for me, Simon, listening to you talk there is I think there's a huge amount of social good that can be achieved from investment in this country, whether that's via increased taxes, whether it's via economic growth, whether it's via increased borrowing. And I look at the last 14 years, pre-pandemic, pre-Ukraine war, and I look at the interest rates that hit lows of sort of without historical precedent, and I think, oh my God, what an opportunity to borrow and invest. And it's to hear you talk about it in these terms, genuinely, it frustrates me. Because I think there is an opportunity there could have been an opportunity there to sort of turn the other way, and instead of saying, no, we're going to reduce public services, we're going to reduce public spending, we could have ploughed money into them. And I think, well, when we get to a situation like a pandemic, having a degree of pandemic preparedness, for example, might have been a useful thing.
I mean, look, there's always going to be a debate about whether it was the right thing to do, to restrict public spending in the way that George and Philip Hammond did.
There is no debate. What are you talking about, a debate? We know austerity was a failure. Austerity has proven itself to be an abject failure. And what are you trying to do? Trying to resuscitate that idea? Trying to suggest that, well, actually, there's a bit of a debate. Maybe it didn't actually kill 300,000 people. Maybe it didn't drive public services into the ground. Maybe it didn't result in us losing doctors or nurses because they didn't receive enough pay. What an absolute charlatan this guy is. Why the hell is the BBC inviting him on? Why is he still wearing a suit? He's not an MP. This may seem a trivial point, but he's presenting himself as some sort of professional. He represents nobody but himself.
It's still a debate.
I think it is a debate. I think, in truth, probably capital spending was brought too far down. That would be my... I think, you know, actually we probably didn't do enough on the revenue side and the day-to-day spending, but we maybe could have done more to protect the capital budgets. I think that's a really difficult balance to strike. I mean, lest we forget, you know, the NHS budget this year is, what, £190 billion? I mean, you know, for all that, yes, we reduce spending relative to what it might otherwise have been, in absolute terms, government spending is still £1 trillion a year.
And he just throws around these figures. It's a lot of money, £1 trillion, £1 billion, £100 million, because this is about distracting the public. Where is this money going? How much of it is going to the private sector? This is a question that I never hear journalists ask. What percentage of the NHS budget goes to the private sector? How much are private organisations, private companies benefiting from the NHS budget? This would be a very interesting question to have an answer for. Now, Simon Clarke here is, well, you know, we could have protected more capital spending. No mention of day-to-day spending, current expenditure, which of course was necessary for paying wages and general upkeep. So the Tories didn't protect capital spending, which is needed to build new hospitals, to build new infrastructure, and day-to-day spending like wages. So they allowed doctors and nurses to have their wages frozen, and then just ignored them. Well, to hell with them. They can go and work in the private sector. They can go and immigrate for all we care. They ran public services into the ground, and now you have Simon Clarke trying to resuscitate this idea of austerity. Well, it wasn't all that bad. Yeah, 300,000 people died, but, you know, what are you going to do? It's insane. This charlatan, why the hell is he on the BBC? What is he adding to the conversation? He lost his seat. He should go away and never be heard from again until he maybe runs for a seat again. What does he add? He's not here to explain to the public, give them information, talk about how government works or anything like that. He's here to defend austerity, a terrible policy that has been proven an abject failure? Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.